your show with the camera. All right. Your experience.
It was a bit confusing because basically there was two polling divisions inside here today. And it was not very well demarcated. So there was A1C and A1D. And unfortunately, even the administrators didn't understand that there was two polling divisions. So when somebody went online and they saw they were in the Johnson Center, and I understand it was even more confusing this morning. But I think eventually they've gotten it worked out. So after being in the wrong line at first, and then having to go back into the next line, but you know that's what it is. And I'm seeing a lot of people being very patient, clearly, but some people obviously have been frustrated by the system.
And do you think that frustration might lead to people just walking away and not voting?
I think it did, but hopefully that's a very small few. I think that there's a tremendous amount of commitment here to get it done, and I've seen a lot of people go to great lengths to make sure their name was on the list and get it sorted out.
But do you think that has a lot to do with the unpreparedness of the Prime Minister and also the Electoral Department?
Well, I think it's more to do with the continuous changes with the polling divisions. And so people get accustomed to one polling division. So we used to have Indies and there was also the Aquatic Center. And now everything's been subsumed into one. So once you do that, then there's always a learning curve initially. And I think it's something that they're obviously going to have to review. Obviously, we have to address a multitude of issues. The biggest one, obviously, is the economy. Carrie Chris's report is due out any day now. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be good news. When we look at the tourism arrival numbers, we've seen a 20% decline in the cruise ship numbers. We've also seen a significant decline in our Canadian and our British market. So we're going to have to try to get that resolved as quickly as possible.
Why is the campaign so nasty? I get the feeling that this campaign hasn't been about issues, it's been about personalities, and that the electorate has been forgotten in it. It's been a very nasty campaign. It doesn't seem to make any sense to anybody. Why?
Well, I think that you're speaking to the wrong person because we actually have run a campaign on issues. We've only articulated these issues. We've stayed away from all the name calling. And we've dealt with the fact of Five to Stay Alive, which is about the people. So the fact is that this government has ignored the pensioners, they have ignored the unemployed, and they've ignored the people below the poverty line. So Five to Stay Alive specifically spoke to them. And again, it's only about staying alive. I mean, that's not going to be the solution in itself, but it's going to make life a little bit better. We've spoken about the government's lack of transparency on a lot of different issues. We've spoken about the fact that the blueprint for growth has not worked. The number one issue in this country is unemployment. And the government continues to borrow money. I mean, this government has borrowed over $1 billion in this current administration.
But you are known as the spendthrift person. I mean, people keep talking about your $50,000 a month phone bill when you were Minister of Tourism. What are you doing to change that perception as being the one who likes to spend more money?
Well, there's only one person that spends money in this country, and it's Kenny Anthony. And in his 15 years, he's borrowed in excess of $2 billion. As for my phone bill, I was really grateful that the Labour Party put it out, that my phone bill was $134,000 EC for 5 years. So certainly not $50,000 a month, and that was always an exaggeration, which I always knew it was. And in terms of the monies that were spent on this MRGs or marketing campaigns, the evidence is there to speak for itself, that we saw between 2007 and 2011 a doubling of the amount of revenue that we earned from tourism. We went from $750 million to $1.5 billion. And it's a record that I'm very, very proud of.
Now, there's something else. You have is yet to win a seat. In order to become Prime Minister of this country, you have to win a seat. What have you done? You've got to get into Parliament, and you haven't succeeded in doing so far. What are you doing this time to get in?
Well, I was very grateful for the effort that we made in Soufrière. And despite the fact that there was a 4% swing against our government at the time, I actually gained 2 points in a seat in which only twice did a United Workers' Party candidate win. So I was very, very proud. And the fact that all the polls had shown that I would have won Soufrière. I was enticed and brought into Micoud South. That campaign has gone extremely well. And I have no doubts that I will be elected through the Micoud South seat.